All right, good morning, everybody. This is Tatjana Luethi, and I'm here with Rocio Villalobos and Runa Bouius, and we're actually having a conversation right now about the upcoming conference together, which is a two-day conference for women who want to build a conscious business. And we were just discussing right now, well, what does it really mean to have a conscious business? So I just want to introduce both Rocio and Runa. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Glad to be here.
And just to give everybody a little bit of a context, so we actually meet every Tuesday morning where we discuss step-by-step process for the upcoming conference. So why don't we do this really quick? Runa and Rocio, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and how you're involved with the conference, and then let's get started on the conversation around conscious business. Runa, how about you get started?
Right. Yes, I'm Runa Bouius, and I am a conscious business and conscious leadership guide and consultant. And I have got involved with Tatjana over the last year, and I'm really fascinated with what she's doing to empower women and help women entrepreneurs become more successful, having been an entrepreneur from Iceland myself. And I'm particularly happy with the theme of this conference, which is about bringing women up to date with the new business paradigm of the 21st century.
Great, thank you, Runa. Rocio.
Hello, so I'm Rocio, and I own a design strategy and development firm called Vidro Media. And I am currently an advisor and producer, co-producer of the Together conference. And I just got really involved in wanting to do something different with my business and kind of got introduced into conscious businesses through, or conscious business principles through my business coach and other avenues, and realized that what I want to do is change the structure of my business to be more conscious. And I also want to provide my services towards conscious businesses and brands. So I'm just really excited to be able to help other women do the same through the conference, and just learning as much as I can about it and all the structures. And through with Tatjana, am able to really participate and dig deep into it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and also just for everybody, Runa and Rocio both are on the board of advisors, and both of you are co-producers for the conference. Jose Caballer is also on the board of advisors and a mentor of mine in regards to this conference. So we both will be moderating the conference, including Runa, who will be moderating on Saturday morning. So we're going to have an opening panel around the topic of what is conscious business, and then we will also be featuring Whole Foods that are going to have a panel around that topic, exemplifying their business model and actual examples of how they are doing conscious business, followed up then by a workshop by Runa around the topic of conscious leadership in action. And I think actually let's just get into the conversation right now. So we were starting out the conversation of what does it mean to be conscious. Rocio, what were the thoughts or the
Mm-hmm.
should I call it struggle maybe that
Mm-hmm.
you had around the term conscious? What came up for you when you see and hear the word conscious?
Sure. Well, for me, conscious, since I think just naturally, I've always been pretty conscious. I haven't really realized until the past couple of years what that actually was. There was a term attached to the way that I thought about the world. But what I'm seeing now is, we're all kind of knee deep into this and really understand and really surround ourselves by people who believe in these principles. But I think it's one of those words that in the general public people hear and it's kind of in one ear out the other. Not everybody understands. Or they might even be a little bit, what's the word? Just not necessarily put off, but a little bit intimidated by it. Since when you don't really understand something, you kind of tend to shy away from it.
Right. So you're
So
saying it comes with a certain assumptions or associations that go along with that term.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I think most people would strive, like if they knew really what it was all about, and they really understood that there's a whole fulfillment aspect of it, they would be, it would really benefit them. So
Mhm.
what I was bringing up was how do we explain, or how do we attract people's attention to better understand what it is so that they can see the possibilities of applying this to their life and to their business. How do we rephrase it? How do we rephrase that word? How do we rephrase the sentence so that it's more palpable
Okay, got
for
it.
people?
And so, just for our audience who's listening, Rocio is specifically talking about the aspect where it says, it's a 2-day conference for women who want to build a conscious business. So, what we are working with right now is the actual value proposition, right? To contextualize the conference. Let me ask Runa. Runa, what is your definition of conscious business? What does that mean from your perspective?
For me, conscious business is a business that's not only run for profit, but is also run for doing good in the world. It is a business that focuses, number one, on a higher purpose, and then thinks about very consciously about all the stakeholders in their ecosystem. That means their employees, their suppliers, their vendors, their customers, the community that the business is in, and that could be global, and the environment. So it's a business that's not just focusing on me and my bottom line, but about all of us and trying to do good for the planet. So you could say a course business, and it's a business that consciously thinks about what kind of culture do I want to have in my company. Is it a culture of compassion and caring, together with being very effective, creative, and innovative? Or is it a culture that's all about control, command and control, and uh, people not able to collaborate? So it's really, to me, it's a business that's now taking some of the universal feminine principles that have been lying dormant for a long, long time, actually for centuries, and bringing that into the mix. So we are using the masculine and the feminine energies together in a supportive way and collaborating to create better relationships inside the business and with the business with the world. So to me, it's actually a business that's very conducive to supporting women,
Mm-hmm.
because women get to shine now. Women get to make use of their innate gifts and talents. The things that come very organic to them are now being acknowledged, and not only acknowledged, but sought after in order to create a business that's
Mm-hmm.
sustainable on all levels.
And I would add that what we had talked about previously, that yes, it's these feminine principles in action per se, but it's not only feminine principles, right? So we always talk about how it's the balance, right? We need those masculine principles in here too, but now these feminine principles are having like a renaissance, right? We're seeing the value in them and that they need to be part of it. It's not all one or the other. So
I
we
like
always
that. Renaissance. I really like that. That's a great way of
Yeah,
putting it.
I often talk about it as a harmonious dance between the feminine and the masculine energies
Yeah.
in all of us, not only in women, but in men, because
Mm-hmm.
men are starting to wake up. And this is why we talk about the consciousness aspect. The men are also starting to wake up to the importance of tapping into their feminine principles to get more creative, more innovative, in order to create the new products and services that are going to sustain us for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the interesting part is we were having a conversation about that the other day. So I think the way that we see this is happening in business, and let's call it maybe in business language, it's very evident in the user experience industry, in the lean startup industry, because it is a
Mm-hmm.
very user centered approach, or let's call it a customer centered approach. we are now entering into a stage where it's not about profit and the bottom line, but how can we actually solve the real needs of our customers and create a value-based solution with strategies that specifically cater, right, to solve those needs of our customers. And it's the way I see it is that's how the men are doing it. They're doing it from the business perspective. I kind of feel that for women, it has mostly always been inner growth, doing personal growth and development, and how to find meaning and purpose. And now we're ready to scale it up into a business. And I feel sometimes men are doing it from the other perspective, and there's no right or wrong. It's just a different approach. They're doing it for business. And Runa, you keep on saying that business is a platform that has a very powerful approach to actually change the world while changing ourselves and our lives and careers right here where we are. How do you mind elaborating a little bit around that? How you see that?
Right. Business gurus would tell us that the most important thing is to know your why. And for me, for my own business, my why is that I have such a strong belief in that business is the most powerful vehicle we have on the planet to make changes to solve the existing problems that we have created. And to solve these problems, we need to use a different level. We need to work through a different level of consciousness than we were at when we created the problems. So we need to raise our consciousness. That's why, to me, the naming conscious business and conscious leadership gives us such a broad umbrella to do that. And I believe that business is more powerful than governments in many cases, because if we just take Whole Foods that we will be working with for this particular conference, they are doing good in so many parts of the world by supporting farmers, by supporting women, by supporting producers of products that would otherwise not be able to get their products to market. So that's why they talk about conscious capitalism. They are using their own business to support growth and development and profit making for people in all parts of the world. And that's why I say that business is so powerful, and why I am spending all my time and energy supporting business leaders to create businesses that use this leverage that I see that we have.
Right.
Yeah, capitalism is good, right? It's just that it can be used for really bad or it can be used for really good, right? But the bottom line is conscious businesses typically can actually charge more of a premium for for their products and services, and people will pay it because they like the idea that they're contributing. And that's, I think, the misclaimer too, that a lot of people think conscious business, oh, well, and it's funny, I actually had this conversation with my sister. She's an independent travel agent, and she was seeing what we were putting together and everything. She's like, oh, that's great. She's like, that's great, but it's just not for me. Like I'm right now I'm struggling. I'm getting my business off the ground, and I'm not at the stage where I can give back to anybody. So this isn't, this is probably not for me right now. But in reality, she's not really, understanding the whole thing, that it's this really can be for anybody because it's about principles, right? And it's about just educating on how you can bring this into the framework, the structure of your business, and to then it's really going to actually give you a niche, and it's going to, through the conference, you learn tangible business skills and advice and tools.
Right.
So
and I think it's important for someone like your sister to understand that this is not about giving money for good causes. This is about starting to think bigger, change your mindset, and start seeing how can I contribute to those around me, say in my community. And we can do that by, for instance, the choices we make for the services that we have to buy. We can choose between buying from this person or that company or this company. And if one of the companies has a more conscious way of building their business and you choose that, then you're already making a difference. So
Exactly.
we always talk about in integrating these mindsets and new concepts into your business structure from the very get-go, and then you develop it so you can start from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny, you guys, that I've realized the more just, getting into this and everything, really, if you're co applying conscious business principles to your career or to your job or as a new, it's really like, I see it as like therapy for a business. It's like putting your business into therapy, because what is it? It's about diving into really you as a leader, what's important to you, right? And
Yeah.
to really kind of get rid of all those like voices and judgments and everything that you've had piled onto you as you've grown in your career. You really need to kind of quiet down all that stuff, which is what you do, when you go to therapy or when you go to business coaching or whatever it is. You kind of like get all that stuff out of the way, and then you go into really what's important to you. And with conscious business, you are doing that as well. What is important to the core of the business? And then you are really getting clarity on how everything else makes sense. How
Totally.
you want to treat your employees, who you want to align yourself with, who you want to provide services to, like what is your niche. Like it is that, right? It's providing clarity for your business and for yourself, which is what consciousness is, right? Like being
Yeah. Yeah.
clear about what you're doing. So I mean, I see it as business therapy.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's a very
And
interesting way of looking at it. I just want to speak really quick to what Rocio said. And to really start a conscious business, we have to start with ourselves, what you just said, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of deconstructing the old beliefs and assumptions that we have and maybe the way we have been doing things so far. It's an unconditioning of, what we thought we have to do for whatever reasons, be it from pressure from family or trying to impress the boss or out of fear we're going to lose our job. But if we really sit down and actually look at, well, who am I authentically, and what is it that I stand for, what are my values, what are my passions, what are my organic skill, gifts and talents, and what do I really care about, that's the platform, that's the foundation to build a conscious business, to start out with these questions. So one thing that I always say, and
Mhm.
one goal with my conferences is to really inspire women to actually experiment with the concept of business as a platform for, number one, to truly express who you are authentically so that you get to experience self-realization and who it is that you are. And secondly, as a platform to generate revenue so that we have the financial independence that we need, that which is basically what your sister is talking about, right? To
Mm-hmm.
generate a sustainable life that allows her to live and to take care
Mm-hmm.
of herself. And then
Mm-hmm.
thirdly, which is what I think Runa very often speaks to, is using the platform of business as a tool and vehicle to make a difference in our society. So to really contribute to
Mm-hmm.
the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
This is so beautiful how you say this, Tatjana. And you know something? You just combined two very important things. First of all, we as individuals are learning and growing and evolving, whether we know it or not. And for many people, the end goal is self-actualization. And by doing this experiment through business, we are going towards that personal goal. And then the more collective goal is to do good in the world, and not only to do good, but to find ways for us not to destroy ourselves, to find way for us to live in peace and harmony together on this planet, and taking care of all living beings. And the part that you are really describing here is in the conscious capitalism model. We talk about higher purpose, we talk about stakeholders model, conscious culture, and the fourth one is conscious leadership, and that is the piece that I will be speaking about at the conference. Because what
Mm-hmm.
you described, Tatjana, we have to start asking the questions: who am I? What are my values? What is my purpose here? What's my mission? How am I going to fulfill my mission? And that is the journey. That's the journey for the individual leader. And then the individual leader broadens that out to the way that he leads his or her team, and then his or her organization. So it all works together. It's very interesting and it's very creative. And I would say, I think it might have been Deepak Chopra that said in a quote that I stumbled onto last week, that to him, business is one of the, if not the most creative platform that we can choose. Many people are artists. They express through music or painting or whatever, but we that are in business, we express through our creativity through business. And that is what the three of us are doing on a daily basis. As we create this conference, we are being very creative in the way we do it.
I love
because
that.
we don't have a fixed formula.
I love that. That is so awesome. I recall having a conversation around that same thing where we were talking about what are your assumptions and associations with the term creativity. And that's exactly how I see it, Runa, just like you said it. I think being in business is basically just an extension of who I am. It's just a scaled up version, right?
Yeah,
That now has
that's
a
right.
bigger impact. That way I get to have a bigger impact than what I could do individually as one person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the word conscious is really, if we look at it, it's really indicating for us to wake up, to be awake to the wake that we leave behind, to be awake to how am I as a leader, how am I as a creator, how am I as a collaborator, and what do I leave behind? What's the impact? Is it positive or negative? When I'm gone, will this earth be a better place for my grandchildren? Or have I been on a path that is more destructive to society and to the planet than it is renewing and restorative? So these are choices. We always have choices, and conscious business is really helping us to wake up to these different choices that we have. To look at how we have been doing it for the last 2,000 years and look at how we can do it. And there is no one fixed formula how we can do it. We are creating it together as we go along. So it's a work in process.
It's asking yourself those hard questions. You know, when you're on your deathbed, what would have made you proud? You know, what would have made you proud that you've done in your life, right? So, you know, and for so many people, like they're stuck in, you know, they're making money, maybe they're making really good money, but they don't have time for their family, they're stressed out, suddenly they're, you know, they've got high blood pressure, they're sick, and it's like, really, does that really matter when it comes down to it? What, if you take the money out of the equation, what in your career, which is 80% of your time, what really would make you happy doing, right? And it's not like, you know, if you love, who knows, surfing, you know, you're not necessarily going to become a competitor surfer, an expert pro surfer, but, you know, can you give back to, you know, the environment in some way that you know, that ties into the love of what you do through your business? Or, you know, it's like finding just creative ways of making that part of what you do. And just really, like, what is your why? You know, why do you love certain things? What does it narrow down to, and how can you incorporate that? And that's really what's cool about the conference, is that if you know there are things that you care about, but you don't really know how that could be part of what you do, or how you can kind of veer into that direction, you know, that's what it's about, right? That's what we're exploring. That's what we have experts there to talk about, and that you can really stand up and ask questions and get your questions answered, because it is a more intimate setting. This isn't a, you know, 5,000 people conference. You know, it's intimate, and you have access to the speakers and the experts that are there. And that's what's super valuable about it.
And I love what you just said about, I mean, you're really speaking to the whole aspect of it's about meaning and purpose, right? And how, what are the strategies, which is what we're going to discuss and do. So this conference is very workshop driven. So there will be a lot of workshops where we're doing strategies on how do you actually scale meaning and purpose up into a strategy and into a business. And so what I want to do is let's ask our audience who is listening to this recording right now and really engage with us. We want to hear from you. What do you think conscious business is? And just feel free to give us really feedback. What are your assumptions? What are your associations that you have with the term conscious? And let's play around. What might be some other ways of how to name it, right? I love what you did, Rocio, where you said, how about a 2-day conference for women who want more meaning, purpose, and profit in their career? So we'll post this up and let's get some feedback from our audience and to see what you think about all of that. In addition, let me just highlight really quick. So the conference is going to be Saturday and Sunday, September 13 and 14. Again, there will be lots of workshops. We're going to have some very interesting conversations with highly credible speakers from the Conscious Capitalism Movement, the Conscious Leadership Movement, the Conscious Business Coalition, the Green Business Network industry. We're going to have UX and lean startup experts at our conference talking about sales and marketing and monetization from a new paradigm approach. I also want to point out that we have some early birds available right now, so please don't miss out on the early bird. Every attendee that purchases a ticket will also receive one free month of membership to WeWork in Hollywood and or the new location in Santa Monica that's opening up next year. And you will also receive the opportunity to win a 1-year free membership to WeWork. And WeWork is a creative co-working space currently up here in Hollywood. So don't miss out on that opportunity. Every registrant will receive that. What else can we say? Any last final words from both of you, Runa or Rocio?
Yeah, I think like you said, getting feedback, getting people's, questions or hesitations or anything that maybe they're confused upon. We just want to provide clarity, right? Like if they'd like to see an audio or a video on a specific question, a specific topic that we can kind of dive into a little bit more. And the one other thing I would mention is in terms of something like the conference, what I think is that there's so much information online, it's completely overwhelming, right? You can type in conscious businesses, you can go on YouTube, you can find 1,000 different opinions, 1,000 different videos and information. And what's really nice about something like this 2-day conference is that, guess what? You kind of get a succinct view of everything, and you're able to ask questions to these experts. And again, like you said, there's going to be representatives from the conscious movements, but then it's also going to be very much business oriented, marketing, business strategy, and sales, and even legal, like all these tangible business experts that will be able to really kind of tie in how we can tie that into business with a conscious angle to it. So that's what's super valuable.
And I would like to add that coming to a conference like this where we are talking about something that might be foreign to some people can be very meaningful. From my own experience, having attended conferences around conscious capitalism, conscious business, and conscious leadership, and business and consciousness over the last 10 years, I cannot tell you how incredible it has been for me to meet people who were also wanting to learn about these things, and many of these people have become personal friends, they've become colleagues of mine, because we have this exploration in common. And this is an evolution. We are going into a new phase, and that's why I talk about the new business paradigm of the 21st century. And it's very exciting to be a part of that, and for women to allow themselves, to give themselves the gift of being open to new ways, and do this with other like-minded and curious women.
Right.
Curious and courageous. I want to add that.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Rocio and Runa. This was a great conversation as always. So we will be posting this online today or tomorrow. And like I said, we invite you all to share with us what your thoughts are about conscious business and what do you think it is. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you, Runa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.